Hello and welcome to the IGN Doctor Who Videocast, where we'll be discussing episode 4 of season 7, The Power of Three. So if you haven't watched this episode yet, stop watching, watch the episode, come back and join us.
Every time we flew away with the Doctor, we'd just become part of his life.
Come with me!
But he never stood still long enough to become part of ours. Except once.
Haven't you seen them?
The year of the slow invasion.
We have two lives, real life and Doctor life.
Our best hope now is each other.
What do we do?
My name's Tom Butler. I'm IGN's resident Doctor Who fan. Joining me again is Matt Risley, who reviews Doctor Who on the site for us. Blair Mowat, who is our video producer and Doctor Who fan, and Ollie Smith, Doctor Who author. Thanks for joining us again, guys. The Power of Three, episode 4. Was it any good?
I really liked it up until the last 15 minutes, and then my opinion changed somewhat. But I enjoyed it.
I concur. It was good, entertaining fun. I don't know if it was the best episode in the world. I don't know if it's got good rewatch ability factor. But yeah, the last 10 minutes really let it down. But we can sort of come back to that, I'm sure.
It's a shame because it's a really interesting premise, the slow invasion. I think it reminds me quite a lot of Miracle Day with Torchwood. I'm not sure whether that's a good comparison or not. But the kind of, I think because it was so slow, the resolution was maybe a little too
felt really
shallow.
rushed. Yeah. Maybe if it had been like an hour long, it might have been better. Had a bit more time to breathe.
Maybe.
Yeah.
So, just to sort of recap, the cubes appeared. The Doctor also appeared, as he always does in these sorts of things.
Oh, yes.
Brian Williams is back, and he takes upon himself to become the cube sort of monitor, which I thought was really cool.
He was on it, wasn't he? As soon as he gave the Doctor a whole list of explanations of what it could be, and he's like, "Yes, Brian. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he
Very
said
well done.
his middle name was Diligence, didn't he?
Yeah, it's like after his first adventure, he really wanted to be part of the crew, and he was like, "Let me on. These are all the things that could
Well, he
be."
sort of wants to be part of the crew, but then sort of he just wants to kind of have it as his little pet project.
Yeah,
It's like an
yeah.
allotment hanging out with the
Yeah.
Doctor. It's just something he does in the evening.
Yeah.
Do you think we can keep him? Can he be
I
a
would
regular
love to keep
companion?
I'm kind of getting to the point where I think I prefer him to Oswin at the
Yeah.
moment.
God.
Bring him on.
It's been a long time since episode 1 then.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, but not long till episode 6 where we will get to meet Oswin properly.
that's
Yeah.
true.
I say not long, Christmas.
It's gonna be
Quite a long time.
Wait, yeah.
Yeah, but we've got quite a lot to get through before we get there. And this
yeah.
felt like it was setting up Amy and Rory's departure, which obviously isn't a spoiler. Everyone knows that they're leaving at the end of episode 6. But do you think that was kind of fitting for them? It was kind of their chance to see a bit more
it was
of
very,
them.
very them centric, wasn't it? And
Yeah.
it really showed us their life and sort of away from the Doctor, so that if something terrible does happen to them, we're really going to feel, I think, more of a loss. That it wasn't just the Doctor's companion. You really see the people, which is nice.
Yeah.
Depending on what happens.
It seems like they were getting by quite nicely without the Doctor until the end, when it's actually Rory's dad that pushes them back into the TARDIS.
We'll come to that bit, but it almost felt like a spiritual sequel to Pond Life, the mini episodes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like the moments, I think that's where the episode worked, in the emotional moments.
Yeah.
And I quite liked the little things, like those two being in bed and him saying, is this what real life is like? And she's like, yeah, I think I like it. And I think that is either setting itself up for an incredibly tragic end, because now we've kind of seen that side of it and they were quite happy, or, that's where they're going to go at the end of it.
So not just Brian Williams is back, but Unit was back as well. So Ollie, maybe you'd be able to update us a bit on when the last time we saw Unit was.
Oh god. Well, the last time we saw Unit must have been. Oh my god.
Was it a Christmas episode?
Well, the first time we saw the Tower of London base was in
Christmas
Tennant's
Invasion.
first,
Yeah, the Christmas
Tennant's
Invasion.
first story, and then they've kind of appeared. There was a Sontaran stratagem. It's their cloud base that's taken over by the Master.
Yep.
They're a bit more faceless and in the background in New Who, and they're kind of the men with guns that are kind of used a lot, but the Doctor's not so chummy with them as he used to be, and it seems that bringing in the Brigadier's daughter is hopefully turning them into more of an ally and an asset than a kind of people that get in the way, which they tended to do a lot.
Yeah.
Of course, if you're new to Who, then you may need a bit of an update on who Unit are as well, because obviously they have a very rich history. in
Yeah,
old
very
Who.
rich. Yeah.
I mean, obviously very prevalent in John Pertwee's era.
Yeah, most of it, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They started off with the second Doctor. The Doctor was working with the army to defeat. God, I've got
Was
to
it
work
the
it.
Yetis?
Yeah, I think it's the Yeti in the
Yeah,
underground.
well,
That's when he
that's the
first
one,
meets the Brigadier, and then when he gets to the Invasion, I think, which is the Cybermen outside St Paul's Cathedral. That's when UNIT has
Yeah, and he wasn't the Brigadier originally, was
No,
he?
he was
He got
Colonel,
like,
yes.
got promoted.
I can't really remember whether they were UNIT at the time there, or whether UNIT was kind of just kicking off with.
I think they were
John
UNIT in the
Butler's
Invasion.
opening. Yeah,
But I don't know if they were for the Yeti
I think you're right there.
episode.
But sorry, go on.
No, I was going to say, I thought it was a nice touch, kind of putting it back to the Brigadier and making Kate his daughter, because obviously he's kind of died in
Yeah.
real life recently. So
Nicholas Courtney, died last year. So I thought it was really nice that he got a mention there. What did you think of her herself? I mean,
I really liked her. You guys weren't quite sure, were you?
I think she really looks the part. She's got that kind of sense of dignity and presence that I think really suits the Brigadier's daughter. But I don't know, just the way she was acting, she didn't seem to appreciate the importance of her part in Doctor Who history, if you see what I mean. There's maybe it was kind of almost a little too throwaway.
A bit too throwaway, yeah.
well, especially when the sort of New Who is filled with such sort of larger than life characters like River Song, like Amy Pond.
Yeah.
The Doctor obviously he's over the top, and then they bring back sort of quite a important historical figure for the Who, and she's quite understated. It seemed like an odd decision to me.
there were flashes of character though, when she was saying about sending off the Ravens, wasn't it? At one point, when they're walking in, and then Amy was like, "Oh, I like her character. She's got spunk."
I think depending on the reception to her, I think we'll see her again, in the future, and there might be a more sort of, Kate-centric episode, perhaps.
She seems to be very much a catalyst for change in UNIT and how UNIT are kind of approaching alien menaces. Because UNIT used to be this bumbling kind of family of fairly useless soldiers, and then they got loads of big guns and started taking out alien menaces left, right and centre, and I think the Doctor liked them when they were a little more useless. I'm not saying she's going to turn them a bit more useless, but maybe a little less trigger happy.
She does look like she could be Nicholas Courtney's daughter, though.
Yes.
Which I think is. I actually googled to check if it was his daughter, and it's not. It's one of the Redgraves, but. Yeah.
So we think they're probably going to play a big part in the next year's sort of anniversary.
I hope so. I really
yeah.
like UNIT stories in general.
Yeah.
Everything feels a bit bigger when the army are involved.
Now, talking about the music in the episode, because Blair, obviously you're a composer, and you had a few issues with Murray Gold's score in this episode.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't mind it as much, but it's just that it was a very strange sort of choice of music, because I thought it was almost like sort of like lift music, or like sort of muzak. It didn't take it very seriously, and it really kind of like sent it up at the start to kind of say like, this is very jokey, this is very light, and it made the episode feel very lightweight. And it wasn't really until, we started seeing sort of, spaceships and everyone was dying at the end that we got the big sort of orchestral score back. So I don't know whether that was a question of budget or whether it was a stylistic thing, but it was noticeably different from before. And especially the montage that we got at the start, it was very sort of American in nature, the kind of with the voiceover and the kind of guitar chicka 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 music. It felt really American for some reason, very uncharacteristic of modern Who.
I think what's really interesting is that and it's kind of weird because Moffat and Russell both kind of have this strange battle they need to do, which is they always want to make the Doctor's life look exciting and interesting, and so because of that they can. There are certain episodes like this one where they go out of their way to trivialise, and it wasn't Moffat that wrote this, but this is just the themes of the series, to trivialise kind of real life and make it look deliberately dull or casual. And yet at the same time we have the Doctor always talking about the life he could never have and the normal life and the getting married and the having kids and things like that. And so it's a weird kind of battle, and it's kind of hard to kind of emphasise that we need to show that their lives are a bit hollow without the Doctor, but at the same time we don't want to. You don't want to make fun of the viewer's life for not being the Doctor's. I think that's the thing. And
there was a really good point where Rory, when the Doctor first kind of rocked up, and he said, "Oh, where are you going?" And Rory said, "I'm going to work." And he goes, "Oh, you and your little jobs."
Yeah.
And he was like, "No, everything doesn't revolve around you. I actually quite like my job, and this is, my point."
Yeah. That's nice.
And I know you were a big fan of the direction in the episode.
Yeah, I just felt kind of the beginning felt quite spacedy. Just kind of like with fast cuts and kind of obscure camera angles and stuff. It started off with a pace, and I think obviously then because of the plot and kind of it was showing the kind of meandering nature of their lives, it kind of slowed down a bit. But I liked it at the beginning.
So moving on to the cubes themselves, it was quite a nice parable about how they're like the iPhones and that sort of thing.
Especially the iPhone 5.
Yeah.
Kind of the black finish.
Yeah.
Empty inside.
Yeah. So I thought that was really good. How and obviously that led to a few cameos as well, a few celebrity cameos. So did you like those?
Very sort of Russell T Davies sort of reminiscent, having those sort of like popular cameos. I'm sure we've had them.
But then I always
Stephen
like
Moffat
those.
stuff. But they are nice, aren't they?
Very
They do
funny.
sort of make you smile, and they were good cameos. Brian Cox.
I mean,
Legend.
Yeah,
He was only on for 30 seconds, but clearly having a whale of a time.
Yeah, and I saw him tweeting about Doctor Who as well not long ago, and obviously he's a big fan. So I think when it's clear that someone is a big fan and they appear in it, it's just like it's very satisfying. But if you don't know who Brian Cox is in America, then I don't know. Can you Google him? And how do you describe him?
Just look up science.
Yeah, he's very, very famous scientist. He makes scientists exciting with his amazing voice.
And also, who else do we have? Alan Sugar as well. The
Yeah.
Apprentice, which I thought was
Do you reckon he's a big fan?
I
think
doubt
he is.
it.
I
Yeah.
I don't know, he's got kids. His kids
probably like it.
That's true. It's
Yeah.
So the cubes themselves were quite sort of inert, and then all of a sudden they came alive and gave like a third of the population of the Earth a heart attack.
That was very creepy.
Yeah.
That was a really excellent. It's so nice to. I thought what was interesting was the Doctor couldn't do anything. The fact that he had to sit and watch this stuff because it's not something he could talk to or fight or whatever. That's a really interesting situation, and it's a shame that they're just there to kill people.
I did find the kind of resolution a bit of a cop out though. I genuinely thought there was some drama to it and they were going to go through with it, and then just kind of waved his magic wand and everyone was alright again.
He might as well have reversed the polarity of neutrons, mightn't he? He definitely reversed something.
But with all these people without oxygen going to their brains, there's probably a risk of quite a lot of
brain death.
Yeah. So
It's quite a while as well. They
At least 10 minutes.
yeah.
I reckon so.
So the cubes themselves weren't the main villain. We were treated to the sort of the main bad guy played by Stephen Burkoff towards the end. About 10 minutes to go. Do you think it made much of an impression in those short minutes?
Not really. It was kind of just felt like a bit of an anticlimax. I think the cubes were so kind of intriguing in themselves that then to kind of tack something on behind them, obviously happing to explain it, but it just felt a bit rushed.
I think it was a shame to almost explain it. I think what was nice about the cubes was they were completely mysterious, and that's what
It would have
that's
been
what
nice
keeps
if we
you
didn't
in-
know,
yeah,
wouldn't it?
Maybe if we
Yeah.
never knew. Maybe that would have been okay.
Or maybe if we found out in a couple of series' time and it was a big revelation linked to something else, that would be great. But yeah, it felt really sort of shoehorned in, didn't it?
What about his motives?
Oh well, humanity going to spread out and be a plague in the stars.
But like
always
every
the
other
way,
civilization is going to spread out at some point, so you might as well have to kill every single
well,
civilization.
maybe that's what he
so-
does.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's a bit rubbish.
I like the concept of kind of the galactic kind of exterminator type thing, and the fact the cubes were like slug pellets. I think they made that.
That was a
analogy
nice,
at one point.
yeah,
I like
that was a nice analogy.
But what was his actual plan? Why did he have the hospital, and why was he using the lift to take people there on stretchers?
Yeah, the chances of it being Rory's hospital as well were
Yeah.
just too many coincidences.
I thought that was a shame that it was such a coincidence, because actually this is the first time we've really emphasised just how valuable Rory was, and actually he was the most valuable person in the whole episode, and they go out of their way to talk about how many lives he's saved and how many more he could save if he wasn't with the Doctor, and he's the most constructive when everyone has a heart attack and things like that. That to make it be coincidence is almost a shame, really.
Do you think in emergency situations it's okay to take your dad to work if you're a nurse?
if it's
to let him
Brian,
help out.
definitely
Yeah.
for comedy value.
He's just bumbling around looking for supplies cupboard. I thought it was a bit funny.
Oh,
but,
yeah.
So do you think overall it was a bit of a filler episode?
No, I'm not sure it was a bit of a filler episode. I think it was a very needed episode in terms of the emotional beats, and we really probably should talk a little bit about the
Yeah, we
Doctor's
should do,
conversation
because they were
with Amy.
great.
Yeah.
That was
there's
fantastic.
really nice justification. It's what we were talking about a couple of episodes back, actually, when we were talking about whether the Doctor was trying to wean them off him or whether Amy was trying to do the reverse. And it's obvious now that the Doctor has this weird kind of animal instinct to return to essentially his mother-in-law. And and that was really interesting and really nice kind of touch.
Yeah, it was very eloquent the way it was written, wasn't it? I mean, it was kind of stating, kind of the things that we know about the Doctor, but in a way which was really quite poetic and beautiful.
And
so
also,
that was
Amy
nice.
and Roy have had their weird domestic issues, and so to re-solidify that bond that they have is also kind of
Yeah,
it just raises the stakes a lot. There's a lot more to lose now, and I think that was needed.
Yeah, and the bit with Brian and the Doctor as well, when he's
Yeah.
like, "Not them, Brian, not them," and that was really nicely played as well.
Yeah.
So I found it interesting the fact that they had that kind of exchange, and then at the end it was Brian the one who kind of sent them off. I think they were kind of getting ready to stop, and he's the one going, "No, go and see the world."
Yeah.
Well, universe.
I guess that's because he saw that they'd basically saved, a third of the human race, and he realised, it's good that they're going off and they're saving other civilizations, and actually what they're doing is, for the benefit of the greater good of other people. So I guess he...
And also
it's
getting
good
to travel as well, because
Yeah.
he obviously had the part at the end of his last episode, Dinosaur on the Spaceship, where he goes travelling with the Doctor.
Yeah.
So he obviously has learned how important it is to travel and things like that. But so I mean that sort of final payoff, sending them to go, does that mean we're setting ourselves up for a big fall, or
It's hard to call.
It is really hard to call, actually, because Moffat seems to be a big fan of the kind of tragedy, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure he could commit to his, these are the longest companions we've had since Doctor Who came back, really.
Yeah.
This is, they deserve something.
They don't deserve
special.
death, I mean, someone like Adric, in Earthshock, no one was too disappointed to lose, but I mean, Amy Pond doesn't deserve to die, So I hope not.
She's had everything else happen to her.
Yeah, well, Rory's died so many times already. It doesn't really matter,
yeah, yeah, he'll just shrug it off, right?
Yeah,
Whatever happens.
dead again.
Yeah.
Probably come back. The Roman plastic soldier.
So I mean, obviously, this is leading up to the next episode, which is the Angels Take Manhattan. So this is would it be the fourth time that the Angels have come back? Because obviously they had the double episode last time. Or is it the third
I guess
time?
if you count that.
If you count
that
it,
as
yeah.
just 2 episodes. Yeah.
What can we expect? Do you think?
Cherubs.
Yeah, well,
little
that was
baby
the thing.
statues.
Yeah, because that's interesting. Because that was the thing I was most excited about when I was watching this trailer. Was because in Blink, it's just the angels and they all look the same. The same in the Flesh and Stone and Time of Angels. But at the end of Blink, there's obviously that big montage where they zoom in with loads of smash cuts on just random statues in Cardiff city centre, and to imply that anything could be an angel or everything was an angel. And so it's going to be really nice to see what can be an angel, considering there's a big statue sitting in outside the coast of New York.
Yeah. So do you think that's what we're going to see?
I reckon that's
I
got
hope
to tie
so.
in somehow, I reckon.
I want some Ghostbusters 2 stuff.
I was going to say some Jackie Wilson when the Statue of Liberty walks down the street. Yeah, Ghostbusters 2 though. We don't want to set that as the benchmark, do we?
Well, I love Ghostbusters 2. What's wrong with Ghostbusters 2? That was my favourite.
Yeah. I think the less said about that, the better, to be honest. But yeah, I mean, I'm super excited. We've got the next episode to come, and then we've got quite a big wait until Christmas.
Yeah, we do.
And then we've got the new companion starting.
Yeah. Well, I think in between the wait, I think you should write Zygons Beneath the Savoy.
That will be a thing.
Yeah.
I'll put it up on a forum.
Put up a request to write that. 'Cause I really want to hear that audiobook or read that novel. I think that'd be a great one. I would love to see the Zygons come back. So I really love that reference.
In the Savoy Hotel.
Yeah, Beneath. But then they take over the people, don't they?
Right.
Yeah, that sounded great.
Can they bring back their Loch Ness Monster glove puppet?
Definitely, yeah.
Excellent.
Well, yeah, I think that wraps it up for this episode. So thanks for joining us. We'll be back next week, and maybe a little bit later than usual for the Angels Take Manhattan. But thanks for joining us, and we'll see you again soon.